Hi friends, welcome to Crack Grade B. We are back with yet another lecture, and this is very important when it comes to your upcoming exam, that is NABARD Grade A. Right? This is the report by the Reserve Bank of India Financial Stability Report. So in this lecture, I am going to cover half of it in the part one, and there would be a part two which will be followed by this lecture, and we will complete that in the part two. So let's begin. So let's begin. Let us understand what is FSR, right? This is the 23rd release from the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, and this is biannual document, right? Which speaks or which presents data about the overall economy. Okay, every six months there is an FSR released by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so now FSR. So what is financial stability, right? देखो financial stability in a economy means that there are good number of jobs, that there are good amount of credit flowing into the economy, the bond yield is fine, the fiscal deficit is under control, right? The inflation is under control, and the growth is in its trajectory motion. So everything when it is going fine, that is known as financial stability. So what this report wants to highlight, this report wants to tell about the kind of health the financial system has. Okay, like as the human being, we do many report to test our health. Okay, Reserve Bank of India with other financial institutions like SEBI, okay, like PFRDA, like IRDA. Okay, from all the financial institution, it gathers some data and everyone prepares, and RBI releases this report known as Financial Stability Report of an Economy, where not only in the FSR, the data about the India, about our own country. So yes, all the macroeconomic data of our country has been released and analyzed, which speaks the financial health of the country. Okay, that is the main objective of financial stability report. But it is not limited to India, right? The RBI goes ahead, RBI and the other financial institution goes ahead and looks up what is happening in the global world. Okay, what is happening in the emerging economies, what is happening in the developed economies. Okay, and they compare it. Are I mean, why do we compare? The RBI compares to check whether the stability or whether the health of our own country is in synchronization with globals, right? If it is not, then there is some problem. Either RBI or government or any other financial institution should step in and check those measures or control those areas where there are problems, right? So we are going to analyze that based on the 23rd release of the biannual document called FSR, Financial Stability Report by the Reserve Bank of India. Let's begin with. So the FSR, which is published biannually, reflects the collective assessment of Subcommittee of the Financial Stability and Development Council. Subcommittee of the Financial Stability and Development Council, FSDC. You need to remember this. You never know. In the phase one, you can get a question that who is heading the FSDC? The Governor of the Reserve Bank of India is heading that, right? On the risks to financial stability and the resilience of financial system. Now let's move forward. So FSR is divided into following parts. Okay, so FSR is being divided into the following parts, and again we have followed the same parts and we have divided this lecture into two parts. In the first part, it's macro financial risks, and under this we are going to study what is happening at the global level and what is happening at the domestic level. And on the other hand, financial institution. Okay. So what is the health of the financial institution? What are the measures they are taking is something that we are going to look at. So this whole thing we are going to look in part one, right? And rest of the things we are going to look regulatory initiative. Okay, again here there are two parts, global and domestic. So this both the things we are going to look at in part two of this lecture. Okay, in part one we are going to follow micro financial risk. Let's start with the domestic one, and before we begin, let us see some headings. Right. So these are the domestic macro financial risks that are highlighted by the FSI. So yes, everything is not important. We are not going to read it line by line. It's more than 100-page document. Absolutely not required. Right. So if you follow this lecture, I have covered most of the important things that are there in the FSI, and the rest of the things which are important in terms of objective are being covered in the current affair documents that we release every day. Right now, let's begin with the domestic macro financial risk at the first place. Then we are going to look what is happening at the global background. Let's begin with the first one, domestic macro financial risk. Financial indicators. Okay, so this is completely, when I say domestic, I mean only India, right? So keep that in mind when following this lecture, right? Financial indicator, percentage of GDP at market price. So all the data given below are calculated GDP at market price. It's not nominal price. मार्केट प्राइस इज ऑल्सो नोन एज करंट मार्केट प्राइस. सीधा सीधा ये एमआरपी होता है. कोई भी गुड्स एंड सर्विस मार्केट में उसकी जो आज की दिन की वैल्यू है उसी के वैल्यू के हिसाब से उसको कैलकुलेट किया जाता है. आगे बढ़ते हैं और ये देखते हैं कि इसमें क्या क्या है. टैक्स रेवेन्यू, नेट टैक्स रेवेन्यू, इफ यू सी that from 1920 it has been increased from 6.7 to 7.2. In non-tax revenue it has gone down from 1.6 to 1.1. It has gone down, it has gone up. Then so this is provisional actuals, right? And these are the actual data. Revenue expenditure. So government has two type of expenditure. One is on the revenue account, the other one is in the capital account. Okay, that what is the difference? We are not going to discuss it. But look, the revenue expenditure is increased from 11.6 to 15.6, and that is completely understandable. Why? See, because government is running Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, vaccine program. Also, government is spending heavily on health infra. Then government is spending on some PLI schemes, okay, emergency credit guarantee line schemes, and etc, etc. So yes, all these are most of the things that are happening in the revenue account. Okay, but see, don't take it as how sir is telling everything is on the revenue account. So there are certain things that are happening on the capital part as well. Let's say government is buying something in the government hospital. Okay, maybe government is making a oxygen plant, so that expenditure will be on the capital account. Okay, so let's not get confused what is revenue expenditure, what is capital expenditure. But why the data of revenue expenditure is high? Because of this all measures that government is taking in order to curb the spread of COVID-19, or in order to manage the COVID-19. Now, if you see capital expenditure, it has also increased from 1.6 to 2.2 percentage. But on the other hand, all these things are happening at the cost of fiscal deficit. Okay, so it was 4.6%. From 4.6%, it went on to 9.2%. So this is something that is not good for the economy, because government take debt to fill this hollow in the revenue bucket. Okay, so this is not good. But the uncertain circumstances are there. That is the reason the data is also uncircumstances, 9.2%. Let's move forward and let's see some. How is government fulfilling this 9.2 deficit? Okay, market borrowing by the central and the state government. Look, all these data are not important. You might get a fear looking at this slide that do I have to remember all the data? Absolutely no, you don't have to remember. You just remember this data. It's 9,67,708 crore, approximately 9.67 lakh crore. Okay, this is Government of India borrowing. And why this is Government of India borrowing, I have explained you in the last slide. And why this borrowing is high? Because of this deficit. So if you go by the budget estimates, right? So Government of India was looking for 12 lakh crore. Okay, so the borrowing for the financial year 21-22 would be somewhere around 12 lakh crore. But till now, just the first quarter has ended. The government has already borrowed 9.67 lakh crore rupees. Okay, so yes, there are possibilities that this can go based on the situation of corona spread. Now, so rest everything, you don't have to remember all this data. So I'm not speaking, but yes, you can pause the slides and you can have a look and you can have an understanding how data is increasing. Okay, so that you have a better understanding. Let's move forward now. Now see central government security and state development loans. Now central government has borrowed. In the last slide we have seen central government has borrowed. Now from where these borrowings are coming? Right? From where these borrowings are coming? Obviously, central government issues bonds in the market, and Reserve Bank of India as a debt manager to the government or as a banker to the government sells those bond in the market and collects the money and give it to the government. That is how things work. Okay, this GOI issues bond. RBI as an institution sell those in the market. It collects money. Then this collected money gives to government. Okay, so I hope this is clear. But in this slide, what is the one thing that you have to remember is this one, because I'm going to tell you something important based on this one. See, aggregate SLR holding by the SCB means Scheduled Commercial Bank. This is SLR is statutory liquidity ratio as a proportion of outstanding SLR eligible securities. Okay, so if you see in 2008 it was 51%, then it was in the reducing trend till 2021. Okay, so yes, this is one of the content that you can write in your descriptive paper as well, that the SLR that the SBI scheduled commercial banks were holding was reduced from 2018 to 2021, and at present it's 36.4%. Okay, 36.4%. And see, this is one of the important thing, that RBI holding as proportion of total outstanding Government of India securities. So what is outstanding Government of India securities? Let's say Government of India wants to borrow rupees 100 from the government. So it will tell Reserve Bank of India that I need 100 rupees, you borrow for me and you get me the money. The Reserve Bank of India will go to the market and sell. So Reserve Bank of India, let's suppose, can only sell 80 rupees. So how much it will collect? It will collect 80 rupees. But it has a mandate to refinance, or it is the Reserve Bank of India is the banker for the government, so it has to follow government's instruction of giving them 100. So what it does, it buys rupees 20 bond. So this 20 means the outstanding GOI security which RBI was not able to sell in the market, or no one were interested to buy that. The amount that is left over is known as outstanding, and RBI will buy it and will give rupees 100 to government of India. That is how it works. So if you see from 2008, where it was 7.8% and it has gone up to 16.2%. Okay, so if so at present, if I say government of India has borrowed using the government security rupees 100, so out of it 16.2 rupees is being borrowed directly from the RBI. I mean, the RBI has purchased those bonds. Okay, so those were outstanding. Okay, so now let's move forward in the. So let me remove and let us hit this. In the absence of robust demand for credit, bank holding of SLR security, mainly government security and state development loan (SDLs), in March 2020 stood at highest level since March 2020. Okay, during 2008 to 2021, however, the share of banks in total government security and SDL holding gradually declined, which you have seen decline, falling steadily from 51% to 36.4% in 2021. Now, in terms of absolute value, the amount has increased, and that is obvious. It will increase. Why? Because government has borrowed, and on the other hand, which I am coming to it in some slides, right? The general public is not taking loans. I mean, many people have lost their job. Many people have gone into the half salary. Okay, most of the time in the last year, the economy was under the closure. Even in the first quarter of this particular year, 2021, you have seen that during the second wave, most of the region of India was under complete lockdown. So what will people do by taking loan, right? So when people doesn't take loan, the banks have extra funds, okay, and banks do not keep funds idle. It will be lost for them. So what they did, they have purchased the government bond, and that is somewhere good if you see. So government bond poses no risk, so no NPA issue, right? So for bank, it is something that is called as safe haven. So keeping the money idle on the one hand and getting some investment from government or getting some profit from investment into the government securities. Maybe the interest is less, but still they can earn some amount, right? So in terms of absolute value, it is high since March 2021. Okay, why? You already know it, because government is borrowing heavily on the one hand. On the other hand, there are no retail public like you and me who are going to bank and asking for the money. What we will do? We are at home, we are under the lockdown. Why will we take loan? Okay, most of us are are in the half salary or maybe have lost job and something like that. Okay, so that is the reason of going this number as high. Now, insurance companies and provident funds holdings, by contrast, grew at 15.4% and 21.5% respectively during 2008-2021, and they had nearly 37% of the SLR by March 21. So, insurance company and provident fund companies, right? They hold nearly 37% of SLR. So it's not bank who is financing the government borrowing program, it's the insurance company and the provident funds as well. Okay, now let's move forward and let's see another heading, that is development in government security and fixed income derivative. The last slide that we were talking about the government borrowings. Right? Now see, okay, now see from here. So somewhere at this point, the first case of corona came to India, and from there, the government has started borrowing, right? So during this time, there was no lockdown. So I think the first lockdown was from March or April. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so if you see, the decline is from here. So the moment government start borrowing heavily, the yield has come down. Absolutely, RBI had a major role to play, but on the other hand, this is also good that the cost of borrowing for the government has come down. Okay, so this is what the data says. So I hope you have understood. If you have not understood, watch this marking once again. Okay, now let's move forward. Let's see. Surplus liquidity condition and the accommodative monetary policy stance have driven down short-term interest rate expectation and kept the near end of the risk-free curve well anchored. As a result, the spread between the 3-month Treasury bill and both OIS and unsecured CD rate have narrowed down significantly. So there is nothing important in this. Okay, so I just picked up this data in order to make you understand when the borrowing program. So when the demand increases, the bond rate comes down, right? So this is a concept that's very confusing. But in this data also, in this chart also, you can very clearly see the moment when the government started to build up the borrowing program. From this time, the yield was constantly going down to a C. Yield was at this place. From this place, it has come down to this place. So, have you seen? This is the curve. It's like this. So, this is the concept that when the bond price increases, the yield come down. So, when that's completely demand and supply role to play. Okay. Let's move forward in the lecture and let's see corporate domestic sector. What you have to say about the corporate sector? Now see, the data says about the year-on-year growth in percentage. Okay, and the data is from 2016-17, 17-18, and so on till 2020-20. Now you will have to see that the blue line is IT, the orange is manufacturing, and the black is service sector non-IT. Now understand that if you see this orange line and if you see this if you see this blue line, that is IT. So the blue line was never below zero. Okay, why? Information technology. So most of the IT people during the pandemic has switched to work from home, so their business was less impacted. Okay, so their business was completely less impacted, so their growth was also good. So if you see the trajectory, it's good. Okay, so at this point, so during the quarter C, somewhere between the quarter 4 and quarter 1 of 2019-20 and 2021, a small decline was there, but it was not zero. Okay, the reason was they were the first one to switch into the work from home mode. Now let's see the service sector and the IT sector. So what is service sector non-IT? It's tourism, hospitality, etc. Okay, travel. This is service sector non-IT. Now this was badly hit. Why? Because people were at home. They cannot go outside. So there is no tourism. People were at home. They cannot go any other place except their home. So all the hotels were closed. All the restaurants were closed. They cannot travel. There were travel restrictions. So you see this black line. This has declined from the which place? If I have to quote 1920 quarter 3. 1920 quarter 3, it has seen it. See, it is coming down. Okay, it is coming down from the moment the country was put into the lockdown in 1920, right? Then suddenly it comes to zero. Then it started to picks up from the December last year. Why? Because the gradual lockdown in the economy was lifted. So it has gone up, and it's positive now. And same with the manufacturing sector. Okay. The plants, the manufacturing plants were completely closed. So if you see automobile, the manufacturing plant of Maruti Suzuki, Mahindra, okay, everything was under closure. So when there is no manufacturing, there is no productivity, and when there is no productivity, no sales. When there is no sales, there is no profit, and there is no growth. That is what it is attributed. So you can see the same path that the service sector non-IT has followed. Okay, so I think you have understood this global corporate sector. Now, sorry, domestic corporate sector. Now, let's see what is the report saying about it. Nominal sales of 724 listed private manufacturing companies increased by 6.8% and 31.7% in quarter 3 and quarter 4 2021 respectively. And the rise was broad-based. IT companies remained in expansion zone throughout the pandemic period and recorded 6.5%. So this is something you will have to remember. 6.5% growth in sales during quarter. Okay. So you can get an objective like which sector among the following has recorded a positive growth during the quarter 4 or during financial year 2021 or during the corona they can tell you or something like that quarter 4 2020-21, right? So it was only the IT sector. Why? Reason is simple. So when you have to write a descriptive, you know the reason. Because they were the first one to switch to work from home mode. The non-IT sector, which recorded the maximum contraction during the pandemic, also witnessed the sign of recovery sales. Okay. So yeah, everyone is recovering. When the economy is opening, everyone. So in these days, you can see that people from all over the country is going to Uttarakhand and in the Himalayas, in the Darjeeling. So in the hill station, mostly people are going. So yes, you can see that surveys, the tourism industry is going up now. Hotels are going up, restaurants are going up. So even the data in the FSR says about it, right? So it's all about observation and remembering some data by which you can easily solve objective and you can easily write good descriptive answer. Now, let's move ahead and let's see another heading, development in external sector. So this EXT is external, okay? ERNAL, external sector and foreign portfolio investment inflows. So you see that during this 2020-21, okay, the FPI, the foreign portfolio investor has gone up high. You can see that the uh, share market was growing every day. Every day it was making some records in the financial year 2021, right? And how is that possible? I mean, how was that driven? That was driven by the FPI investment. And this is well seen in the FSR data as well. So you see this blue is the equity. So most of the FPI foreign portfolio investors invested in the equity segment. You see how big the graph is when compared to 2019-20, 18-19, 17-18 and 16-17. Okay, so this is what drove the capital market, the equity. Okay, so you don't have to get deep into this. So this is enough that what drove the share market? It's equity. Equity by whom? Equity by the foreign portfolio investors. Right. So yes, now see the data. Net foreign portfolio investment inflow during 2020-21 stood at 36.2 billion. Okay, so this is 36.2 billion as against the outflow of 3 billion in the previous year. During the first 2 months of 2021, however, FPI recorded net outflow. Okay, this is something that you will have to Remember, it's 36.2 billion. Now, let's see the balance of payment now. Why? Because when we talk about inflows, we need to talk about outflow as well, and then we need to compare where we are. Right? That is known as balance of payment. What is balance of payment? Balance of payment is simple. What is incoming? I mean, what is the import? Okay, and what is the export? And then the government calculates the BOP, balance of payment. Now see, if you see the data that there is a short decline in what? Increase and decrease in reserve. So during the quarter 4, we have seen a small decline in the reserve. Okay, and now let's see a data. After a surplus of 3% in H1 2020 21. The current account balance reverted to a deficit of 0.7% of GDP in H2 2020. The turnaround was led by widening trade deficit and increasing net investment income payment. Okay. So most of the economy was closed. There were no goods going outflow. So yes, there were exports from India. Exports like pharmaceutical products, agro products. So those are the things that we have exported even during the lockdown. So if you see the previous data, the down graphs are more. Why? Because there were deficit. We are in deficit, right? And why we are in deficit? The first reason and the major reason is crude oil bill. Pardon for my handwriting, but is that crude oil bill? This is way much higher. Crude oil bill. Okay, that is where the deficit comes. Now, let's move forward to the next indicator, banking stability indicator. Right? There is not much that we need to remember and understand in this thing. Only thing you should know in how many parameters the stability, banking stability indicator has judged the bank in the FSR. Okay, so that's five. Number one, efficiency, soundness, asset quality, profitability, and liquidity. What do we mean by this? I don't think that's important for your NABARD, but yes, you should know the numbers. Five, there were five indicators, and if you can remember this five, that's good. And what this map shows that how far this point is from the center. Okay, so that is the depth of that is the hollow in that particular parameter. So uh, if you see March 2020, right? So this red line is for March 2020. So March 2020, see liquidity position was not good because it is too far from the center, but efficiency was good. It is close to the center. Soundness was very good because it's much closer to the center. Okay. Asset quality was also good, it was closer. But profitability was not good. Why profitability was not good? It was not good because of the rising NPA, because of the moratorium. Banks were not getting the money that they were supposed to get as an EMI. Okay, so there were many other factors. So let's not get deep dive into those factors. If you look at these things closely, you are going to understand what it is. Okay, so remember these 5 points. Banking stability indicator was made by the Reserve Bank of India with five uh, indicators, namely soundness, asset quality, profitability, liquidity, and efficiency. Okay, now let's see what the data, what the assessment of this data is from the FSR. The banking stability indicator of 13 scheduled commercial banks. So see, this data is only for 30 commercial banks. Improvement in all five dimensions in March 2020-21 as compared to the previous year. In particular, soundness, profitability, and liquidity component revealed noteworthy reduction in rates due to banks' improved capital provision. Position. Capital position has improved banks, but at the cost of what? People are not taking money. So it's not actually improved, right? So yes, they do have money in their hand, but it's not good for the economy. Better return on asset and higher customer deposit to total asset ratio respectively. Okay. Now let's move ahead in the lecture. Bank credit. So this is completely data-based slide. So if you see during the 2014 and from 2021, the agriculture sector, okay, sectoral share in credit by SPC, by Scheduled Commercial Bank. It was constant. So for industry, it has gone down. That's not good. For transport operator, it's same. It's at same level. Professional and other service, it's almost at same level. But personal loan, of which housing loan is, the housing loan has increased from 8.5% to 13.8%. That shows that people are buying house. Okay, and personal loan has also increased from 16.2 to 26.3%. This is also good. Okay, trade for trade also the amount has increased from 9.2 to 10.8%. Finance the amount has increased from 8.2 to 9.8%, and other it's from 2 to 2.5%. Right? But what is not good is on agriculture. So it is at the same percentage level of 12% from 2014 to 2021. Okay. So now let's move forward in the lecture and let's see bank credit to MSME. Okay. So what we have, well, in the last slide we have seen the overall credit. Now let's get some specific. So I have not bought all the data from the FSR, just the important ones. Okay. Bank credit to MSME. So let's see. Growth in credit MSME during 2020-21 was aided by ECLGS scheme, Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, which aggregate sanction of 2.46 lakh crore at the end of Feb 2020. Okay, so, so why there was growth in MSME? The FSR says that it is because of the government scheme ECLGS. Now, if you see that the MSME sector was already stressed before COVID, okay, and from January 2019, the RBI has given them restructuring. Okay, so restructured portfolio, the data is absolutely not important, but you should know that there were three restructuring done to the MSME portfolio. The first one was January 2019, the second one was Feb 2020, and the third one was August 2020 scheme. Okay, so in this chart, in this one, the last chart, if you see the balance of the stress MSME is higher and NPA is also comparatively high. Okay, NPA is also comparatively high. So now, if you're following current affairs, I think you can clear all your concepts and doubts, everything from the current affairs, because ECLGS is broadly covered in our current affairs material as well. Now, let's move forward to liquidity in banking sector. Okay, liquidity in banking sector has remained in high surplus. Okay, the Reserve Bank average daily net quality absorption stood at data absolutely not important, and during 2020-21 so far up to June 21, it amounted to nearly 3.2% of scheduled commercial bank net demand and time liability during the latest period. So the liquidity has always remained surplus. Okay, so RBI has absorbed this amount during 2021 and this amount during 21-22. Okay, still there was the liquidity condition was high, and why it is high I have already explained you multiple times in this particular lecture. Again I am repeating, it's high because people are in the home. Where will they spend? Okay, so that is the reason the liquidity position for the bank was high. Now, let's see the housing market. So in the last slide, we have seen the data that from 2014 to 2021, the Housing. So let's go back to that data and let's see that. Okay, so this one. So if you see housing loan from 8.5%, it has increased to 13.8% in 2021, and this is in 2014. Okay, so let's see how that happened. Now in this chart, you can see that. So this is very recent chart. This is not from 2014. So if you see quarter 1 2019-21 to quarter 4 2020-21. So due to this corona and lockdown, we have seen the dent, and it was declining due to corona. It is declined. Then again it picked up, and now it is under the. So if the corona doesn't come, we can see this kind of graph. Okay, it will not be straight. It will somewhere be like this, but whatever it will be in the upward trajectory. The data shows from quarter 3 2021 to quarter 4. We can see the trajectory is going on. Now, All India Housing Index increased year on year by 2.7% in quarter 4 2021 with 3.9% growth a year ago. On a sequential basis, all India HPI growth rate moderated to 0.2% in quarter 4. So if you can remember this data, it's absolutely fine. If not, you should know that the data is getting increased from quarter 3 2021 to quarter 4. Okay, when it was down, from where the downfall started. Okay, and when it was completely down at this point, and then it started to rise. Okay, you will have to understand the logic here. Okay, from the timeline. And why I am telling so? Because the paper 2 is descriptive, and you never know when you find something to connect. Okay. So there is descriptive answer, there is no correct answer, right? In objective, you can tell that this is the right answer, this is the wrong answer. But for descriptive, it's completely analytical. Okay, how well you are presenting the data. So in economic development question, you can obviously write something related to housing market. There is no harm in it. The only thing, the selection of word, the selection of content has to be at that level where you could connect that what you want to convey, that how economic development is complemented by the housing market or housing sector growth. Okay, it's simple because what is the basic need? The basic need is roti kapra makan, and when you see that housing sector is growing means more people are buying home or shifting from the kacha house to the pakka house, right? So yes, you can connect. People are developing. Okay, so yes, let's move forward. Global macroeconomic development and outlook. So this GED means development. Okay, development and outlook. Global Purchasing Manager Index (PMI). Okay. So this data is by JP Morgan Global Composite EMI. So this is completely for manufacture and service sector, and this is just for manufacturing, and this is just for service sector. So if you see that it was down and it is growing. So yes, that we can clearly see and clearly understand with the timeline. When the country was into the lockdown, things were down, and when the country was gradually opening, things were going up. And this is the global data, right? This is the global data. And if you see in the advanced economy as well, so the growth projection, okay, and this is by the World Economic Outlook. This was released on April 2021 by International Monetary Fund. Advanced economy has declined by 4.7%, emerging by minus 2.2%, and entire world is minus 3.3%. So I would request you to remember this data because this can be an objective question as well as you can connect it one or the other part in the descriptive paper as well. And for 2021 and 22, it's completely projection based on the current scenario. If the scenario change, the projection also gets changed. Okay. Let's move forward. And let's see the general government fiscal deficit and gross debt. So if you see the fiscal deficit of advanced economies in this particular year, it is somewhere. So if you see the words, it's somewhere near our also. What is ours? It's 9.2%. Okay, if I can remember it correctly, I think it's 9.2%. But whatever you just cross check it. Advanced economies, it's minus 10.4%. For it's minus 4.6%, and so on. You don't have to remember all this data, okay, but a basic understanding should be there. So global debt. If you see, so you have seen the deficit. When you see the deficit, that there has to be something that should fill this hollow. So that's debt, right? So that is the one thing that happened. Okay. So if you see the debt is also on the rise. Okay, the debt is also in the rise. So yes, so the data is well synchronized, right? So this is global data. You don't have to remember much in detail, but basic understanding should be there. Aggregate public and private debt for a sample of 61 countries rose by USD 24 trillion in 2020 alone, making up over a quarter of USD 88 trillion rise over the past decade. The pandemic also looked its toll on private sector and household indebtedness, and the debt of the private non-financial sector stood at USD 204 trillion in 2020 and USD up from 194. It went ahead to 214 in 2020 from 2019. Okay. So yes. So it's not about India that India is going through the fiscal deficit or the government borrowing is high. It's for the entire world. And the reason is COVID-19. Now let's see food price index, global food price index. So this is this is a data by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, United Nations. Right? So in the comment section, you just mention it where it is headquartered and who is the current president. I will tell you in the part two. Now, if you see the index, the food price index, the food price is on the rise from this point. So this is the point from where most of the economies, most of the countries in the world started to face the first case of corona. Maybe it's America. So no. This is the area. Okay, this is where somewhere here most of the countries started to face, okay, big countries, and somewhere here small countries like Brazil, New Zealand started to face the corona at this point. So if you see the global data, yeah, so global data comprises of all the countries. So prices started to rise from this point. Okay, let's move forward in the lecture and let's see what we have completed. So we have completed the part 1, macro financial risks, global and domestic, and in the next part we are going to cover these things. Okay, the part 2. The part 2. So by this we have come to the end of the lecture, and before I say goodbye, I would like to remind you about the course that are listed on our website. But yes, now the hot topic is NABARD Grade A and NABARD Grade B. The vacancies are good at this time. Okay, and this is the most economical course. So you can complement your preparation by just spending few bucks, and you are going to benefit more than 10x the bucks that you repay that you pay. Okay, because you have seen in the RBI Grade B also the extensive coverage of the course is completely unmatched by any other course in the country available in the country, right? So yes, do visit the website, check out NABARD Grade A and NABARD Grade B. And with this, let me say goodbye. Meet you in the part 2. Thank you and happy learning.